And welcome back to another episode of Life in Prison. My name's Zach, and I greatly appreciate your support. If you would go ahead and hit that subscribe button, then go ahead next door, hit that notifications button so you're first informed when I upload. So this is part 2 of killings and stabbings in West Virginia prison systems. We talked about the Aryan Brotherhoods being a part of, the COs. Like, the COs were more or less a part of these Aryan Brotherhood dudes. We talked about the killings in the jails. We talked about the killings of Mount Olive. We talked about killing of Huttonsville. So we're gonna kind of go back in time, before Mount Olive was built, which is, as before, it is maximum security prison in West Virginia. So before Mount Olive was built, there's a place called Moundsville, or the Wall. So Moundsville was a gladiator school. People were getting killed, as I said before, on a regular basis. COs were getting killed. Like, shit was really crazy. There's actually an inmate that was up at Mount Olive serving a life sentence, okay? So this individual, I can't remember his name right now. I'll have to ask Callie next time I talk to him. So this individual actually used to be a CO at Mansville back in the day. Well, he came home, found his wife was he came home in the middle of his wife cheating on him. Well, he'd killed her and this dude, and now he is now an inmate doing life with all the inmates that were doing life when he was now working there. Another individual up in Mount Olive that I came across, he was actually dying from AIDS, and what had happened was his wife had also cheated on him and contracted AIDS with the partner that she was messing with. Didn't say anything. Then he contracted AIDS because he was fucking her, obviously. So when he had started getting sick and found out what was going on, it all came out that she cheated on him. He killed her. You know what I'm saying? He killed her. So now he's doing life in prison and is slowly dying from AIDS. Because you got to realize, once you're incarcerated, if you have cancer or if you have AIDS or any medical illness, the treatment that you get isn't, you're not getting treatment. Like, people die in prison all the time from cancer or AIDS because they're not getting any types of treatment. So back in the day, this was actually back in 1929, okay? So there was an inmate that was killed, and his name was actually Wall. His last name was Wall. So the other inmates more or less got jealous of him, okay? So what was going on is Wall was actually doing small chores and small jobs for these COs and was getting paid for it, doing odd things here and there. Well, the other inmates kept seeing him laughing and smiling with these COs. Well, they didn't like that. They thought that he was a rat. They thought that he was a snitch. Well, back then, it was a lot easier to get rid of a snitch. Nowadays in prison and even on the streets, there's rats everywhere. It's literally an infestation. This earth is getting infested with a bunch of rats. There was no cameras back then at all. There was plenty of blind spots where the COs were not going to go. So what happened was, these inmates had dragged Wall down to the basement, to the bathroom. There's a bathroom down there, right? They had cut his fingertips off. They had tried to decapitate this man with dull metal shivs. When the COs end up going into the basement to the bathroom, they end up finding Wall propped up against the bathroom stall door, or the bathroom stall wall, with his head barely hanging onto his neck, dead as fuck. So I'm actually leaving from the state, and I'm actually going to talk about the feds real fast. So in 2018, my buddy Cody, you know, love him to death. So he was up at Hazleton, FCI, which is federal penitentiary, which it's at the time it was the most dangerous penitentiary to be in. So it just so happened that Whitey Bulger, if anyone you guys don't know who he is, he was a mobster, a gangster. You know, he was one of the old mafia guys, more or less. And he had eluded the cops for, a couple decades for racketeering charges and some murder stuff. Well, he finally got caught. Well, Whitey Bulger had became a federal informant, and a lot of these dudes didn't like that. So they were shipping him from prison to prison. They had shipped him up to Hazleton in 2018. This man wasn't on the compound for more than 12 hours, okay? Well, there's two suspects. They're not sure, but they have two suspects, and these suspects are also known for hating rats and very well known for killing mobsters. Okay? Okay, so what they did to this man is he was beaten to the point of not being recognized at all. They had tried to gouge his eyes out with a fucking spoon. Like, no, really, they really tried to gouge this man's eyes out. And they had apparently beat him unconscious at first with a lock and a sock. So what happened was, at this time, Whitey's health was deteriorating. So he was in a wheelchair. Well, eyewitnesses speculate, saying that they had seen an individuals wheel Whitey around a corner, and this is exactly where it happened, out of eyesight from a camera. So these two mobster killer brothers apparently had fucking really done Whitey Bulger in. Like, they took this man out before he was even had his bags unpacked in the prison. Like, if you're a known federal informant, why would they put you in the most dangerous federal prison at the time, where there's killings all the time? Oh, Jeffrey Epstein thing. There's a lot more killings that happen in prison. This is just West Virginia that I'm talking about. I haven't even touched base on any of the other prisons that people are getting killed at. Like, some of these jails, a lot of these inmates are doing TikToks in jail now. Like, I see it all the time. These prisoners have cell phones. They're in there with, you know, big fucking things of crack, big things of heroin and stuff. Like, I don't, when you see this stuff, it's you wonder, why would you post this stuff on social media knowing that you're in prison? Right now, K2 is becoming an issue. All right, K2 is becoming a real big issue within the prison system in these other states that haven't gotten hip to what's going on. You always see these inmates that are fucking nodding out, throwing up, and fucking fucked up in the middle of the pod. With as many stabbings that happens in prisons and jails, you know, I've been hit one time. So there's an altercation between a couple of us DMI members and a few Lone Rangers, more or less. It's not big, but I got hit right there. Whenever you're hitting right, your adrenaline is rushing. You don't realize what's going on. And after we end up dispersing, after, a couple people got stabbed knowingly, a lot of people get stabbed and beat up, and nothing is said or done. Now, if it gets to the point where I'm really gonna have to watch my back. I'm gonna trash you, and you're gonna have to get off this pod. I'm not gonna live on this pod because say I beat you up, right? Now I feel like I have to watch over my back because I don't know if you want revenge for me beating the fuck out of you. So I don't want to be sleeping and have you run in on me and hit me with a lock and a sock or hit me with some grease. Like, you're gonna get off this pod because I'm not gonna have to want to watch my back even more what I already am. Because once you're affiliated, you now have a target on your back. You do have a target, even if you don't know it. Say you're part of what I am, right? Say I go over here, beat someone up, then I'm gone. Now that they can't get to me, they're gonna go at you. And the problem is, you could be walking down the hall and not know anything of what happened between us. Now this man's gonna come out the blue and cold cock you or stab you because something that I did. It's not fair to them. It's not fair to their family. It's not fair to anybody in general. You don't want to try to put a target on someone's back without them knowing. So the moment you join an organization or a gang, you have a massive target on your back. Always be careful of who you hang out with, because as I said before, not only could you get rounded up by the COs and sent to the hole just because you're associated with us or you're around, but then also people could mistaken you as a member, and then now if something pops off and they want to run down, now you could get hit also with the rest of us. It gets crazy. Most prisons, you won't see other races fighting each other's race. Okay, say I did something to a white person, and that's a no-no, right? In these other states, the blacks would handle me and the whites would handle their own. You don't put your hands on another race. It's more political like that in some of the states going out west, California, Texas. Every prison system's different. I got homeboys right now that's in Virginia prison systems. It's completely different than West Virginia prison systems going right next door to Maryland. It's a lot different than Maryland prison systems. Some prisons are a little bit really more political and racial. Some aren't as bad. Mount Olive. Mount Olive is really, really racial. This is because you have some of these Aryan Brotherhood dudes who are really about it and will uphold everything that they're supposed to. Unlike a lot of these fake dudes who have these swastikas on them, but then break bread and are eating out of the same cup as a black person. Like, you don't do that type of stuff. Thank you for the support. I greatly appreciate it. As always, I send my utmost love, loyalty, and respect. Have a good day.